Hey VC, this is Matt. Just wanted to check in with a new video and thought I would talk about a couple of topics. Beatle books being the first one, and Christmas records being the second. I'm not actually going to show any Christmas records today, but I will talk about. I plan to do a video on that soon, and I'll talk about that. But first, let's talk about the Beatles books. What prompted this was I just got a new Beatle books. There's actually 4 books in this set. Got this week or two ago at work in the mail, and so wanted to talk about that. I had long been looking. I have long been looking for a solo Beatle. The book that covers the solo Beatles releases. Kind of looking for, and there's been some out there, but not so much the story of what they did after the Beatles, but just to look at each of the records in a kind of critical analysis and information on the records more than what was going on in their tours and so forth, and the fights after the Beatles and so forth. And I still have yet to find that. But before we get to this one that just came out, I'll show you, and I think I've showed this before. This is called Eight Arms to Hold You, and it's the Solo Beatles Compendium, which I don't know why they Eight Arms to Hold You is the title, because that's the original title of Help, the movie. What that has to do with the solo Beatles records, I'm not sure, but this came out, I don't know, it's been several years. It might have been 10 years ago that I got this thing. I believe it's long out of print. It's a thick 700 plus page book. There's no pictures in it. It's just chock full of information, and it breaks down John, Paul, George, and Ringo into big chapters, and each one of their releases. It doesn't have a lot of background or review or critical analysis, I guess, of their individual solo records. It has a little bit. What it has more is recording dates, who played on the records, different takes of the song were recorded, etc., on which dates. It also has some information on the dates of their solo tours, I believe, in here, and it does have there's Rushes, one of the Fireman albums by Paul McCartney, and there's some information on there, so it's interesting in that way. It's a lot of minutia that you have to really be into the Beatles to care about this stuff, because it gets into detail. It's a good book. I just wish it would have had more of kind of a review or the author's thoughts on the individual albums. But thankfully, we at the VC have Joe, Mean Mr. Mayo, to help us out on that, and I'll touch back on that again later. So this thing, I think it's long out of print, but I got this, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. So when this is called simply the Beatles Solo, it's a box set, and it's written by this guy Matt Snow. I know that's backwards. Apologize again. He was the editor of Mojo magazine, music magazine in England, Mojo and Uncut, back a few years ago. And so you have the box set. It's a beautiful box set. It's really nicely presented. You pull it out, and there's the box, and you get not one, not two, not three, but 4 books. And each book is, this is the John book. There's John flying by. And of course you get a Paul, George, and Ringo book, and each one focuses on their respective solo careers after the Beatles. They really don't talk about the Beatles per se in any of these books. So I was looking forward to this, and I ordered this, I don't know, it's early this year. It's several months ago. Pre-ordered it on Amazon, and then there was problems with the printing or the publisher, I don't know what, but it got delayed several times. I think it was supposed to come out in summer originally, but it ended up coming out in mid-October finally. So I got it, and I was all excited. Each one of these books is about 100 pages, about 95 pages each, and it's you can read through them in 30 minutes to an hour each. So I took them home. I read a lot. I've got a can't see it over here, but I've got a big old stack of books that I got, and I keep buying new books and adding to it. So books are likely to sit here for uh, 6 months to a year before I get to them, because I'm read something and then I go to the next one and the stack keeps growing. But I wanted to get into this because I was kind of looking forward to it. Short and sweet of it, don't waste your money. It's a beautiful package. The books have some good photographs in them. They're that's supposed to be the Ringo book, and that actually looks more like George to me with a funny nose than it does Ringo. But there you go. But they've got some nice pictures in it, and the art's pretty good. It's just very basic information, rather poorly written. On top of that, it's if you're a Beatle fan of any long standing, there's nothing in here that you're not going to learn anything new that you didn't already know. It's just the most basic. And even if you're new to the Beatles and just discovering them and you want to learn more about them, so you're looking for books and whatnot to find out more, if you got this, yeah, you'd probably learn a little bit of information you didn't know. But even at that, there's better books out there to start with if you're new to the Beatles. And that's the thing. I had born in '63, so had older brothers, heard the Beatles basically from day one. Didn't really tune into music, or well, tune in till I was pretty young. I was like 7 or so. But I've been grabbing my brother's Beatles albums and then getting my parents to buy me my own, and then buying my own ever since then. So around second grade, 71 and 72 or so. And so I've read tons of Beatles books and magazines and records bought, and et cetera, et cetera. So was a time when any new Beatles book, because they were few and far between once upon a time, it wasn't like it is now where there's a million of them out there, was kind of an event, and I would rush out and buy as soon as I could. I mean, a lot of that time I was 10 or 12 or whatever, so I had to wait till my parents would, till I bugged my parents enough that they would buy it to shut me up, or Christmas or allowance or whatever. But so I'd buy all the Beatle books out there, and eventually you read the story and you know it. So I stopped buying all of them because I had a ton of them, and so now I kind of just concentrate on the ones that I think are going to be something different or have some new information that I didn't already know. So I don't need to read the basic story again. And the basic story here would be okay if the books were not so basically written and poorly written, like I said. I mean, there's in the John book, it talks about roundabout 74, John's lost weekend, his separation from Yoko, when he goes to California and he's hanging out with Nielsen and Keith Moon and Ringo, and Paul McCartney shows up at some point. And by this point, a lot of the Beatles' legal problems would go on for years yet, but I mean, a lot of the major sticking points had been resolved, and they were kind of back on friendly terms again after having made jabs at each other on Ram and the Imagine albums, and kind of publicly fighting there in the immediate aftermath. So they were getting along somewhat. Anyway, I mean, it says that I guess John, in some interview at that time, said, well, maybe as to the chances of a Beatle reunion. And then the book here says it never happened. Beatles never got together before John died again and reunited. So, and I'm glad that they put that in there, because I was wondering if, I wasn't sure if they ever did reunite it or not. And so I'm glad to finally have this to answer that nagging question for me. Another one, George Harrison helped Ringo out by playing on Ringo's It Don't Come Easy album, which I'm going to have to get on Amazon and look around, because I was not aware of the existence of the It Don't Come Easy album. I just must have, all these years of collecting Beatles and reading about them, I just uh, slipped my mind or something. I don't know. So I'll have to look the It Don't Come Easy album up. Maybe it's a good one that I've missed and I need to pick up on. And, you know, in fairness, I know this is the first edition of the book and mistakes happen in the printing and the editing. And that I could live with that if the book is, it's just, they're just awful. They're very pretty presentation and packaging, but just awful. The content is just as basic as can be. You're not going to learn anything new, and they don't. Paul McCartney, for example, they'll be talking about you know, Ram, and 3 pages later they're talking about Venus and Mars albums. So they just barely touch on the albums, and I was hoping for some in-depth uh, analysis and so forth. Like I said, I mean, going back to Mean Mr. Mayo, he's doing the, and I've mentioned this before, but he is doing a series of reviews, going through all the solo Beatles albums, because he thought, well, they've done the Beatles to death, so let me do the solo Beatles albums, and it's great because his videos are always worth watching, Beatles or music or whatever topic related. If you haven't subscribed to Mean Mr. Mayo's channel, by all means, do that as soon as possible. But yeah, he talks about each solo album, and he's done about, what's he up to now? About 25 to 30 of them so far. Because I mean, there's I don't know how many, I don't know the count of them, but I mean, there's probably got to be close to 100 with the 4 of them. But so he's done 25 or so, and he does the popular ones. I think he's done Plastic Ono Band. He's done. I don't think he's done Band on the Run yet, but he's done several of the popular ones that were hits. But he also does the ones that were not hits or that had kind of been forgotten, and that's what I like, is to hear people's thoughts on those kind of overlooked albums. And I like the thoughts on Band on the Run and Imagine and All Things Must Pass and all that too. But and that's what I was kind of hoping to get in this book, and sadly I did not find it there. So if you see that, it looks pretty. I would say don't waste your money. Scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a 2. That's maybe bump it up to a 3 for the packaging. I mean, it's just going to look neat on the bookshelf. I read all 4 of those in a day, in a couple hours, and I doubt I will pull them out again. So that's a swing and a miss on that one. There is another book coming out that you all may have heard of. Mark Lewisohn, I believe, is the author, and I just went blank on the title, but it's Beatles biography, and it's supposed to be a 3-part affair. And the first book, the one that's coming out, might already be out, or if not, it's coming out this month or next month. I would bet this month to hit the Christmas rush. But it covers, and it's a biography, and Lewisohn has written several other Beatles books that were like each recording session and each song and so forth. So he's pretty well known in the Beatle author world. But the biography, and damn, I can't remember the name of it, and it's this line from a Beatles song like, and I'm going to remember it as soon as I turn this video off, but I apologize. I will say in my next video what it is. Anyway, so the biography, the first part goes from their respective childhoods up to 1962, so just when they probably, I don't know, the eve of recording Love Me Do, I guess, I don't, but just when they're finally get signed and start to take off. And I guess the other 2 will cover the Beatles years, and then the third one the solo years, I don't know. But the book, and don't quote me on this, is I think it's like 600-700 pages long, so it's a pretty, you know, just covering their childhood up through their early forming the band up to 62. So that sounds interesting to me, that there could be some good information that I hadn't previously known. And apparently Lewisohn interviewed a lot of people from their childhood and so forth that had not been interviewed before. It's kind of hard to uh, believe that there's anybody left that hasn't been, but we'll see. So that is on my to buy list. I haven't ordered it yet, even though I think it may already be out or is coming out soon. Um, and I'm trying to think of the price was like $40 or something. The downside is I heard yesterday that there is the regular edition, which is like 600 pages. There's some kind of intermediate edition. I don't know about that. And then there's the super duper deluxe edition, which is like 1,000 pages. Obviously, being a Beatles nut, I'd rather have the 1,000 page version, but it's only going to be released in the UK right now and in America possibly next year sometime. And even worse than that, I think it's like $120 for the super deluxe version. Well, I think I'll just go with the regular version for now and hope to find the deluxe version down the road used on Amazon for significantly less than $120. A couple other Beatles books real quick, and I've had this, like I said, I have my stack of books and I keep adding to it, so thing may sit there for 6 months or a year before I get to it. I bought this a year or two ago. You've all seen this, I think, and I believe I've shown it. So it was on the down there on the stack, and I finally read through it recently. It's pretty good. There's not a lot of new information in this one either. That if you know a lot about the Beatles, you're not going to learn a whole lot of new stuff here. But it's a worthwhile book because it's got some really great pictures in it. The cover shot is that's one of my favorite George pictures, and so I don't know. I think it's worthwhile. There's I don't know if you can see that, my hand sticking in the way, but I like that one. And the cover shot with George is my favorite. Here is my other or second favorite, if that can see. I don't know if that's going to show up for the glare, but that is John on the behind the seat on the airplane when they're flying to America in '64. And I don't know, that's just so John to me that he probably stayed like that the whole time flying over, just goofing around with people, knowing John. And one more, I'm not going to show you all the pictures in here, obviously, but I like that one too. That's them, I guess, heading up to the stage or something on a concert. So it's a good picture of George. So it's a little pricey, but you'll probably be able to find these used. And of course, there's the HBO documentary. If you haven't already seen that, that's out on DVD now. And the album of with the same cover, there's kind of outtakes of mainly All Things Must Pass outtakes, I believe, which looks interesting, and I don't have that yet. One other I will show, I think I showed this before, and this is another one that's long out of print, as far as I know, or last I heard it was Beatles in Rishikesh, India, when they went there in '68 with Maharishi to learn how to meditate and whatnot. And the story being that the guy, Paul Saltzman, was just a Joe Blow guy who happened to have signed up for the same class or sessions with the Maharishi in '68 and showed up. He's a guy from America, I believe. And he showed up not knowing that the Beatles had signed up for the same class as him. And of course, there was Donovan and a couple of the Beach Boys and the Beatles' wives and whatnot there. So the Beatles did not want to give interviews or allow media in for pictures, the story goes. But this kid was here, and he was, I don't know, 19 or 20, I think. I haven't read the book in a while. This is another, I bought this like 10 years ago too. He asked the Beatles if he could take pictures of them, and the Beatles said, I don't care. So he took a lot of pictures and forgot about them, so he says. It's kind of hard to believe too, but and 20, 30 years later, I think this book came out in the '90s, I believe. He remembered that he had all these pictures of the Beatles that had never been published, and ran out and had it published as a book. So, but it's cool stuff, and it's mainly the text isn't not a whole lot in the text, but the pictures are pretty incredible. And again, I'm not going to show you every one of them, but some of them that I like. There's George and Patty Harrison, my favorite of the Beatle girlfriends and or wives. I've had a crush on her since God knows when, and still do. So, there was one other that I liked a lot. I mean, there's several of them in here that I like a lot, and there's Patty's sister Jenny Boyd, who's equally fetching, I think. I think she is or was married to Donovan once upon a time, and so yeah. And there's a good. I'll just show this one last picture. There's John and Paul, and they wrote a lot of the White Album songs there, which you probably already know because they were sitting around with nothing much to do in between meditating or hanging out with the Maharishi or whatever they did there. So yeah, Christmas records. Adam Lee and was it 1204 Willow Maggie? I don't know which, both or one of the others suggested that people show their Christmas albums, their Christmas releases, and I saw Adam Lee, that was stupid YouTube with their changes. You can't do video responses anymore, so which I don't like because I like contests. I like to participate in them, but you know, if they're saying what's your favorite albums from the 60s or whatever the question is, I like to do that, but you know, I already know my favorite albums from the 60s, so the real fun for me is to watch other people's responses to see what they have to say on the subject, and the same with seeing other people's Christmas records. So now, without being able to leave the video response, you're going to miss people because I'm not subscribed to everybody on the VC because a lot of people that I haven't seen their videos don't know they exist. And so anyway, but Adam Lee had put somehow he put on you go to the main YouTube page, or when I go, and there's I think 5 as of this morning of people showing their Christmas records, and so I've watched all of those, and those are a lot of fun to watch. So I hope everybody does that. I'm looking forward to hoping Robert Z and me and Mr. Mayo and Steffi Vaughn, Derek Vaughn, all those people, and everybody, you know, Light Breeze, everybody. But so I watched the Christmas record videos, and a couple of people on there that I had never run across their videos before, so I've subscribed to their channels now, so that was fun too. But it's great to see their Christmas records. I'm going to do the same. I counted last night, and I've got about 40-something Christmas 45s albums and some CDs. So I'm going to do that. Not maybe later today. I might start on it. I'm probably going to break them up into CDs, singles, and albums or something because I'm already at 23 minutes, and I know that I tend to ramble. I come in here wanting to do this in 5 minutes, and I look down and go, bitch, you know. So I'll probably break them up into 3 or 4 videos. I might get into that today. I don't know. If not, I'll try to do it sometime this week. I know I'm one of those that loves the Christmas music, and you know, you got the people that are like, you should only play that on Christmas, and I don't want to hear it for a month and a half. I'm the annoying guy that likes to hear it for a month and a half, and so. But I'll talk more about that when I do the video. XM is going to begin their Christmas channels on Tuesday, so maybe I've got a thrilling city council meeting to cover for the newspaper Tuesday night, so probably not then, but maybe Wednesday or Thursday be a good time to start getting into that, and so we will do that. But before Christmas, we got Thanksgiving. I hope y'all are all revved up for Turkey Day or Tofurkey Day or whatever your food of choice on Thanksgiving is. And so that's it for now. The Beatles solo, nah, don't waste your money. And have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.